Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, brings us to item C, our consent agenda. What are the wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item D is public comment. This is the spot on the agenda. I don't see any public, but we will open it if anybody has public comment that is not on the agenda. Okay, we'll move on. Community engagement.
Good morning. So on April 1st, the last commission meeting, I brought a concept of a builder buyer housing incentive program. And so I am back today with the full details and applications for the actual whole program approval and then adoption of resolutions that are related. I do want to take a minute to say I could not have done this without Karen and Leah. A lot of time was put into this and making sure that things were correct and logistically made sense, and a lot of buy-in from folks who luckily answered the phone when I called in the past couple weeks to again make sure what we were doing made sense. So overall, the program is comprised of two parts. So there's a property tax exemption portion for builders or homeowners of new residential construction, and then financial assistance for building or buying new residential construction. The financial assistance element then has three parts: one that focuses on utility connection, one that focuses on connective infrastructure for builders and funding for that element, and then closing cost and interest buy-down assistance for buyers. So overall, with the goal being support for both builders and buyers when it comes to new residential construction, goal being increasing inventory here in Williams County. From a procedural standpoint, the property tax exemptions will be processed through the assessor's office like they do other exemptions and credits already. And then the financial assistance applications will be sent to me as community engagement coordinator, reviewed by a review committee comprised of a commissioner, the development services director, and the treasurer recorder, and then finalized and approved by the commission. So a couple key points just to point out. I know that there's a lot to go through, but primarily, again, objective is to increase the inventory of new construction of varying sizes and price points. And so with that part, there is a sales price limit on the financial assistance part. And so that's with either the anticipated sales price or the actual purchase price, not exceeding the current FHA loan plus 10%, which is about $576,000 right now. Then on the property tax exemption side, it's a discretionary exemption that any city or county governing body can offer. And because of that, you have to pass resolutions by statute to make those exemptions effective. And because it is by jurisdiction, for the purposes of the Williams County property tax exemptions, it would only apply to the property located outside of city limits, but within the county. So if someone is building within any city limits in the county, they would have to defer to their own city government for the similar type of exemption if it's offered. As of right now, the city of Williston does offer it for a home buyer.
Could you, just a quick clarification question, if you could, on the 1 mile ETJ, would this apply for that area?
So the extraterritorial jurisdictions are simply for planning and zoning purposes. And this has to do with property assessment and property tax. So anything that's in the city limits would have to follow their own exemption. So it's anything out of an incorporated city's corporate limits.
Gotcha.
And then if the program is approved, the application for the property tax exemption would effectively become available today, although it may not apply until the next taxable year just because of when a physical structure is built. Because a reminder again too, the exemption is only on the structure. Land always remains fully assessed and taxed. And then would anticipated releasing the application for the financial assistance program next Monday. I just have some more things to do in terms of getting it out, up, formatted on the website, details like that. And then overall information would be posted on our website, social media, and then working through the network of the builders, bankers, buyers, realtors, et cetera, that we've built. So, yes. So, any questions or additional clarification or highlights of the program itself?
Anybody have any questions? This is the time to stump Lindsay. I know, that's what I'm saying. If you guys come up with it, I'm not gonna try.
Ms. Chairman, I think you answered one of my questions already. You've included our legal counsel in all of this so that all the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted, and we've processed all of this verbiage, and everything's been processed through Karen. And
Whether she enjoyed it or not.
Oh, it was fun.
Ms. Chairman, do you anticipate just a building boom now to take place if we approve this?
That would be delightful. But, ultimately, anything you do in the housing, there's no silver bullet, and all of it kind of assumes some sort of risk. We would hopefully encourage that this would be some sort of encouragement to be able to provide builders with support. We do have a very strong diversification effort of our economy. I mean, obviously, a lot is going on in the oil and gas industry right now, but we do have a good future in terms of new jobs that are coming, and we hope that this is just one step towards a direction of helping increase the inventory.
Mr. Chairman and Board, I posed some questions to Lindsay via email yesterday concerning this. Just wondering if there's any unintended consequences, things that we may not see if we implement this, that maybe they've discussed in committee as they put this together, and then as a builder looks at this or a buyer would look at this, what would be their possible reactions or responses to this? So, Ms. Harriman, are you prepared with any of that?
So, in general, especially with Commissioner Kemp's assistance, for probably the past 3 years, we've been working on researching different programs that others are doing, things that have worked, things that haven't worked. And then through our network of economic development in North Dakota, people are very transparent in providing feedback of what does and what doesn't. Certainly not saying that this would be a winner right out of the gate. We're certainly going to have to make tweaks along the way. And especially with doing both the exemption side and then a financial incentive side, there will be things to learn along the way. But again, just in terms of working with folks in McKenzie County and Dunn County, other parts of the state of things that they've looked at, trying to piece apart all of those elements and then seeing what works for our area. Because Williams County is a different community than McKenzie County or Dunn County or Cass County. And so putting all that together. I would certainly hope there aren't unintended consequences that I will be in trouble for, but, the thing is the due diligence through our community. And a lot of these, folks they're our neighbors, and we already work with them on a daily basis on a variety of different county government-related topics. So just communication and working through the tweaks is really, I think, what will set us up for success. And then from a builder standpoint, anything these days to help will hopefully be absorbed by the builder successfully. I mean, I know that there's a lot of builders out there looking for more lending ability. This is not a construction loan program. It's not something that we offer. The state would. And there's other programs that banks can do. So from what we've really heard, though, from the infrastructure standpoint and getting things off the ground and paying for those last connection parts to hopefully help folks move forward.
How would we communicate this with those who would be most affected by this program? How do we get the word out that this is available to them? You thought through all of that as well, I'm sure.
Yep, and so even here locally in our community, the Western Builders Association has a conglomeration of the builders. We have a good banking community that is then filtered through the Builders Association as well, the Realtors Association. And again, just over the past 3 years of working through these, we've built a network of ways that we can communicate it out, plus traditional methods, social media, our website, et cetera. And then through our planning and zoning departments, and leveraging that, the best direct way to a builder is typically when they're picking up their building permit. And so being able to offer information while they're coming here, getting the things that they need anyway, would be a good or direct way that we anticipate doing that.
I appreciate the indefatigable efforts of you and your committee on this. Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
Lindsay, just one quick clarification too. One of the pieces one of the things we've discussed in the past is the risk of of paying for this infrastructure to be put in, and what if the builder goes under or disappears or whatever? Could you talk to that, still that it's a benefit to have this infrastructure in place?
That's there's a huge, again, there's a risk element of any of this. And the strategy with sticking with infrastructure is by doing end the connections, the last mile part, in the event that something goes south with construction itself, we didn't end up paying for a tiled bathroom or a kitchen that will sit abandoned. We paid for infrastructure to get a house ready and that potentially that someone could pick up. There's a lot of things that could happen in between, but again, with the focus on infrastructure, that readying a lot, readying the house and getting it for the next person if something does happen.
Yeah, it's a little bit of risk mitigation, and regardless of who ends up building it, if the first one fails and the second one picks it up, they still need all that infrastructure in place. So it's still a benefit in the end, and I think that was a clever way to look at this.
I guess the one thing I'd like to point out, number one, thank you guys for putting in all the time on this. But it seemed fast, but it wasn't. This has been a long process. You guys have been working on this for a long time. And I appreciate it. And Steve, I know you've gone through a lot of work on this too. So to get finally to this point is a pretty big step. So again, thank you guys for all the time you put into it. And I think it's going to be a positive for the community. So.
Ms. Harriman, how about the departments would be affected by this decision, like the assessor's office is going to create extra workload, the P&Z, something like that, communication amongst those departments as well?
For the assessor's office, it is an additional exemption that they would be effectively administering, so receiving that paperwork. But it would be similar to any year where the criteria for a homestead or veterans credit changes and more people are eligible to apply. At the end of the day, and this is something that Leah has been excited about. Am I allowed to say that? Okay. So again, working with those departments that are affected, yes, it will be more work for many folks involved. But again, for the greater good, we're putting resources out there. So.
Okay, are there any other questions for Lindsay? Well, with that, we need to, I guess the first thing we've got to look for is the approval of the housing incentive program.
Yeah, so the approval of the program as a whole, so that would be inclusive of the terms, applications, the review committee composition and review schedule, and then with that, you would need to appoint a commissioner to the review committee.
Okay, so I guess everybody caught that. Is there anybody interested in making a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the builder buyer housing incentive program.
And would you like to nominate a commissioner or?
And I would like to nominate Commissioner Wallstead, if you'd be willing. The benefit of making the motion.
And, we were talking about trains this morning, and I think this is what you call a railroad job. Commissioner, are you okay with that?
Yes, Ms. Harriman approached me yesterday, and I gave it some thought. I would be honored, thank you.
Great. So is there a second to Commissioner Kemp's motion?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Motion carried. Now we need to have motions on the resolutions, and they have to be separate, so we will need a motion to approve resolution number 2025-04-15.1, a resolution authorizing property tax exemption for builders for new residential construction.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Would you like me to read the 2 pages out loud, or are we good? Okay, hearing no discussion, roll call. Roll call.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Motion carried. Now, this next resolution is resolution number 2025-04-15.2, a resolution authorizing property tax exemption for homeowners for new residential construction.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve that resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey.
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, and thank everybody for all their hard work on this one. Micah, you're up.
Good morning. I am here. I am Micah Lindsay from the DMV here in Williams County. Just to give you a little background on the DMV, Williams County contracts with the North Dakota Department of Transportation to host the DMV here in Williston. We do just title work, any mobility, placards, those kinds of things. Monthly, we do about 2,500 transactions, I guess it is, for the DMV, from simple ones all the way to really complicated, helping farmers find lost titles for 1967 Chevys sitting in the field. So we also do passport services. We're contracted with our U.S. Department of State for that. We are an acceptance facility, which means we process the paperwork and send it in. And we do photos, those kinds of things. A bulk of our customers are from Williams County, but we do have customers that are coming from McKenzie, from some from Montana even, from Divide, all over the place. So it's a very beneficial service here in Williams County. Otherwise, people would be driving to Minot, Bismarck, wherever to do their title work and get plates and all those kinds of things. So I started here right during COVID. I started April 30th, 2020. So we were shut down. When I came in, we had just moved to Williams County, and so all of the staff was kind of getting used to working for Williams County. So some of the goals that we had for the staff and I is that we kind of wanted to get rid of that stigma of coming to the DMV and people coming in looking for a fight. So we've done a lot of work on that, customer service, and really proud of the women in my office they're doing a really good job. So next, we wanted to be able to be a title issuing branch, which means we can print titles here. People don't have to drive to Minot, Bismarck, whatever. We have to have a designated percentage of accuracy to be able to do that. We were able to do that within, I think, 5 months of when we were back up and running after COVID. So,
Micah, can you just, how do you get to be that?
so the Department of Transportation looks through everything that we send them. They go and look to see that we made sure everything was there. We had everybody sign everything, which is why we ask for so much stuff. We have to be above, I believe it is 89% accuracy, so we can't make very many mistakes. We have to have that passing grade for 3 months in a row. We haven't had a non-passing grade now for 4 years or something like that. So it's, they're doing a really good job. I think all of the training has gotten a lot better with the state too, so that's helped. I'm big on processes and procedures, and so we have put in place a lot of processes and procedures, mail tracking, dealer tracking, all of that. Communication with dealers, communication with customers, all of that. So with the dealers, when I started, we only had a few local dealers that were bringing business here, which really affected our business. So I worked with Wilson Auto and kind of told them what we were looking for and transitioned them back to us, which increased our business, our dealer business, like 10% or something like that. It's huge. We did establish a procedure for drop-off and pickup with dealers, and everybody kind of likes it because they know I'm dropping off on Thursday and picking up on Friday or, next week. So let's see. Our walk-in and appointment traffic is like 85% of our business. Mondays and Tuesdays, we are jam-packed from open to close. passports have doubled since 2022. It's incredible how many passports we're doing now. 5 out of 6 of us can do passports, and another person will do training later on in this year. We do an annual renewal of our contract every January. Upcoming, we have a site visit from DOT on May 10th. They've only been doing these for 2 years. They kind of go through our processes, make sure we're doing things right, make sure we're being, our privacy is up to par. The first year, we had 2 really minor findings. Last year, we had minor finding, which was like we weren't closing our screen when we walked away from our desks. So we've been practicing that. They just had to find something, right? And we will be renewing our contract with the Department of Transportation here coming up in June. I believe that contract is for 3 years, and I don't anticipate any big changes or anything. And I just hired a new person, so we are good on staff. Yeah, so we are cruising right along. That's all I have.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions for Micah?
Just a comment, and before you showed up and before the county was running it, you'd go to DMV, you'd pick a number, you'd sit down, and then you'd wait. And I don't think I've ever waited any time I've been in there or had to even take a number. So the customer service is fantastic from my perspective, so thank you.
Thank you.
Being one of the guys that's lost stuff and needs help, yeah, it's been great. They smile and help me each time I struggle.
Soaked in diesel.
Yeah.
Barely any writing.
It smells great, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Micah, thank you for being conscientious with the customer aspect of things. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Okay, we are gonna go to Helen, it looks like.
Sorry, I got handed something last minute and I had to figure out what to do with it. All right, I do have a list. I heard you say that. So our county highway superintendent can't be here today, and so I have a couple of things that I'm doing on his behalf. I'll start with those. First is, you remember a couple of meetings ago, there were some bids out for a loader. They came in over what we had budgeted, I believe, and so we went back out and looked for a used loader instead of a new loader. And so I think you see in front of you, we did get a bid on a used loader, which he recommends approval of.
Okay, everybody sees the bid there? Bid for $170,210. What are the wishes?
I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the loader.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, Beth.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey.
Yes, motion carried.
All right, thank you. I'm handing to Beth copies of an easement that were signed. Does anyone know? Dennis told me where this was, but then I didn't get it till late day yesterday, so I didn't review. So this is an easement. It's for one of the projects that we're doing this summer. We were waiting to get this done.
Is it 17?
I think so.
It's County Road 42 in Truax. It's right in the corner there.
It's the easements on County 42.
There we go. It's a easement along County 42 for a project that we have signed the contract for and we are excited to get going on. So I believe we need the chairman to sign that.
Everybody follow that? We need a motion to approve and authorize me to sign the easement.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes. Motion carried.
All right, on a similar path, you remember when we went through all of the county highway bidding and approving? We approved both countywide pavement marking and some chip seal coating. So we have a contract in hand for the countywide marking, and that is with Traffic Safety Services, Inc. And we're still waiting for the chip seal contract, but I would request that you give the chairman permission to sign the one we have in hand. And as the next one gets here, permission to sign that when it arrives. And then I think next year our hope will be that on the day, Dennis, that you all award the bids, we'll just ask for permission for the chairman to sign them as they come in. It's been a little harried here every once in a while when we get the contract, then we delay to sign them. So we'll try and just do it a little differently next year. But we have one in hand for the pavement marking and then chip seal to come.
Okay, can we get a motion?
I would make a motion for the chairman to sign the contract for the marking, and when the chip seal contract comes in, to have him sign that one also.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Barry?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we have an agreement to purchase a building. As you know, this all kind of relates. We're going to talk about some 1% project stuff in a minute, but right now, the old airport hangar is used by Williams County and the city of Williston to store some equipment, and we do some maintenance in that building as well. And we anticipate that that structure is going to be turned over to the Park District, which has long-term been the city's intention. And so we have been seeking a building, and we have found one. Keith Clevin, our facilities director, has worked pretty darn hard along with Karen to get us to where we've gotten in terms of finding the structure and then getting the agreement in place. We intend to use 1% public safety sales tax, old sales tax money for this. And you guys have already approved through, on March 4th, you already approved that expenditure. And so now this is just for the chairman to sign this initial purchase agreement. We do have an appraisal scheduled. Of course, the county sticks closely to appraised value. And so that would be maybe one of the only things that would hang up this purchase is if the appraisal came in and we had to do something different. So approval for the chairman to sign this agreement and then all future documents as we need to proceed through the purchase.
I'd make a motion to approve the purchase agreement and authorize the chairman to sign that agreement as well as any other future agreements that are needed to be signed.
Okay, is there a second?
And other documents, like closing documents.
That's funny. She thought it and you said it. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Steve?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go in the order. Do I have to go in the order that we have them here?
Yes, ma'am.
No, just kidding. Okay, thanks. It'll be easier to tie some other things together at the end. All right, I'm going to go to the position report. It's spring. People are moving around, making changes, coming out of hibernation. So we do have a couple of positions at the Adolescent Care Center, a telecommunicator at dispatch, and then we yesterday received a resignation from a staff accountant in the finance department. So I'd ask for permission to fill those, what ends up to be 4 positions.
I'd move to approve filling those 4 positions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, Beth. Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Right,
Motion
just-
carried.
Sorry.
Come on.
I know.
I'm trying. Keep up with you.
FYI on the front there, we don't typically come through and ask permission to fill the certain number of seasonal positions because it's sort of a moving target throughout the summer, but know that we are in the process of recruiting those seasonal positions. The Parks Department, that'd be the Williams County Parks Department, Vector, Weed, and the Water Board. Now we have the Water Board operating a little more in conjunction with other HR functions. So they're all going to hire seasonal help. And we like to get some people before school is out because there's work to be done between now and Memorial Day. But a lot of times the bulk of staff start right after Memorial Day. We'd love to have them stay through Labor Day and into the fall because again, there's work to do, but a lot of them leave early to mid-August as they are often youth or young adults or teachers, all of whom are going back to school. We're also working with Brandon Farrell, our new staff engineer, to have an engineer intern program. We know that this is one of the ways that we can help to build we talk about inventory of houses, inventory of engineers that are available for us to hire in the long run. And so we'll have an engineer this summer as well. As we go into the back of our position report, we have on the Vector Board a varying terms. I think they're 2, 3, and 4 years, and it just so happens that every once in a while, the 2 and the 4-year folks all end up on the same cycle of replacement or renewal. And so we do have 4 Vector Board positions that are currently up for reappointment. 2 of them are gladly coming back, and 2 have said that they weren't interested in returning, but we did not get 4 applicants. In fact, we didn't get any new applicants. And so what I'm asking today is that you appoint Chuck Wilder and George Peterson, and the others have agreed to serve until we find additional folks. So talk to your friends and neighbors. Are they interested in serving on the Vector Board? And thanks to Brenda and Brom, who are sticking with it until we can find their replacements.
Okay, so can we get a motion to appoint the 2 that are willing to continue?
I'd make a motion to appoint seat 3 Charles Wilder, term of 5/5/2025 through 5/4/2027, and George Peterson in seat 5 for 5/5/25 to 5/4/2030.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes. Motion carried.
All right, and then one other seat that I've had listed here under internal appointments, which is the Missouri River Advisory Council. There's a few paths to this. Again, it's just an advisory council that went a little bit dormant during the pandemic, and now they're rejuvenating. In the past, we've had someone from the Water Board appointed to this council. However, the Water Board has another path because there is the Missouri River Joint Water Board, and then they put someone here. Jeremy indicated some interest in doing this because it would be helpful to the Parks Director to also have a conversation with folks as it relates to the Missouri River Waterway. So I've explored a little bit of this. I got some answers actually Karen got for me some answers related to what this council does. And so it would be my recommendation that we appoint Jeremy Ludlam to be our representative on the Missouri River Advisory Council, and then that we appoint Lindsay Harriman as we have to have a alternate. And so that we would appoint Jeremy and Lindsay, and then the Water Board can separately, through this joint Water Board, gain information and have somebody on it if they'd like.
Jeremy, blink twice if this is another railroad job. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I would move to approve those appointments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chris?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, and then one add-on item, and then I'll get to the two related to the sales tax. So I got a call some period of weeks ago, maybe right before the last meeting. It was someone from Basin Power, and they were inquiring with me about something that they referred to as tax-exempt government bonds or something similar. It was something I had not heard of, so I did take a call with the attorney, and then I scheduled a second call with our typical bond counsel just to try and understand. It's a program, it's actually a federal program, but there is North Dakota Century Code, Chapter 4057, also provides guidance for us on this. It is a program that in essence allows a government agency to help a non-government agency get bonds at a lower interest rate. And it is intended, it appears to be to assist nonprofits and or utilities, something that's serving the community good. It is something that Williams County has done before. After some research, we determined a couple of times in the 80s, the last time in 1992, Williams County did exercise this instrument. There is not a fiscal impact necessarily in Williams County, so it doesn't impact our ability to bond for our own projects. So it's some kind of a different channel of bonding. There is some long-term, well, there's some procedural commitment on our behalf, and so we are doing something, and so there's a public hearing process, and then there is a whole bunch of legal paperwork, which in the case of Basin, they said, well, we'll pay for the attorney, we'll make sure that that gets done, so you're not impacted. But many times, organizations that do these kinds of bonding programs, as it turns out, do have some kind of a fee schedule because there is a long-term impact on our finance department. For as long as the bonds are in place, there is tracking, reporting, they show up on our financials, and so there's an impact. So as I do a little research on this, one of my thoughts is, Basin came to us because they have this project going in near Epping that they're interested in getting some help with. But I think that there are also a couple of other organizations potentially in our region that have asked us for help, and we haven't quite been sure how we could help, and this might be a way. But before I did a whole lot more work, I thought that it was appropriate to come here and check in and maybe get some general direction from you all. I will tell you that the folks from Basin would have loved to be at this meeting today to make a presentation and ask for a decision. And I didn't think that that was appropriate. We don't maybe move quite that fast. You all don't appreciate being ambushed was sort of my message to them. So my thought is, I think I and potentially Christy need to do some additional research and understand exactly what the impact would be for us. And if you're agreeable, Christy and I need to do that research and potentially work with Karen to understand exactly what kind of work we would be expecting our legal team to do versus where is the line that we would need others to hire some of that work out. And then again, that fee structure, to understand if it made sense for us to charge something and see what others are doing. This type of program, our bond counsel tells me, is used throughout the state of North Dakota for various things. And so I think there are models out there for us to follow. But I didn't want to go too far, and I certainly don't want to I don't want anyone to think we're on a path before I've talked to the county commission about it. So looking for some direction. I think Christy and I could do this work and do some preliminary discussions with the finance committee, or we do have budget workshops scheduled in our normal time in July. That would be a time when all 5 county commissioners are together and, we're in a situation where we can dialogue and discuss a little. So you all tell me, ask questions. I don't know that I'll know the answers, and tell me what you think.
So you said it has no financial impact. So it doesn't affect our bonding if we?
No. right. And when the basin representative told me that, I thought, oh, uh-huh. But then I talked to our bond counsel and he said, no, that is in fact true. It is really another track of program. And so, you know, a city who I think ends up often having to bond more, a city who had bonded a whole bunch for their own infrastructure could still do this program, and they don't relate to each other, except there appears to be, depending on the types of these tax exempt bonds, in the same calendar year, there could be a little bit of an implication. But again, I didn't dig into that very far. But yes, I feel confident, both people told me, it doesn't affect our ability to get money for ourselves later.
And is there a limit?
Remarkably, no.
Who wrote this thing?
I know, well, it's called MIDA, the Municipal Industrial Development Act is, I think, both the federal and the state term for it.
This has been around for,
A long time. Yeah, we were doing them in the 80s. Williams County was.
What I think this exemplifies is the need for staff to take time, review it, and then bring back a recommendation. But I would just say with an economic development hat on, this Bison project is a giant project, and it's exciting, and it's some power production on the north side of the river. And again, getting power across the river is extraordinarily expensive, so anything we can produce on the north side of the river is a good thing. So I think it's a good project, and from that standpoint.
I don't have a big issue with that, but I like the idea of some of the other projects that we haven't been able to do something with. I think that's as important as anything, in my opinion, because they're gonna have a big economic impact too, and maybe this is a way to help. But, I mean, we don't have the kind of money that some places do, so, I mean, if this is a way to help, I think it's great. So let's, definitely you guys look into it. And
Yeah, great point, Mr. Chairman.
One of the things that comes up for me as we think about, oh, where else could we help is, we may need to look at also how would we prioritize? If we say to the world, oh, we figured out there's this new cool program, do we, you know, what are our priorities in doing that? I think that's also a conversation to be had.
do you think, as a board, I mean, how do you guys feel, if we say, let's take it back to staff and bring it through finance committee and maybe get some more discussion on it and see if we can come up with some of those things? And I assume you're not gonna be ready to go to finance this month. I mean, we got 2 days. Can you get it all together?
No.
Okay. But I think that would be the route to go if everybody's okay with that.
Totally
Yeah, I think
agree.
we should definitely move forward with that whole process. I think everybody benefits.
Yeah, it's fine. Did Basin say, boy, we gotta have this done by June 1, or?
No, as soon as they got a hold of me, I did feel there was some pressure to act, but we don't know. My answer was, we don't know enough to know. And again, they maybe would have liked to be here today, but I said, gosh, we aren't in a position to make that.
But I
kind of
don't,
decision.
you did ask the question, does this stop the project? And they said no.
Oh, correct.
So it's not gonna, this isn't stopping the project by us saying we need time to do it right, because we've jumped off the bridge on some stuff like this before, and it seems like halfway down we realized it was probably not a good time to jump. Okay, I think, is that the direction you needed? Let's, you guys take it back and then bring it to finance.
Yep. And of course, it'll come back here sooner or later, or we'll talk about it in July if it takes that long to get us there. Thank you. All right, so I have two things related to the 1% sales tax extension. And so as we went out and educated the public about the extension of this sales tax, Williams County put forward a plan for how we would use that money. And that isn't included in the ballot language. And we wanted a way to, or we want to continue to record for future commissions what it was that the intention of this board was. So the memo that you see in front of you is partially my effort to do that. It just explains the background and provides an update, and I guess I could summarize that for the people in the room. So the background says, during the primary election held on June 11th, 2024, the Williams County electors approved a ballot measure enacting the Williams County's 1% sales tax to begin April 1st, 2025 for a period of 10 years. The approved ballot measure dedicated the sales tax to, there are four bullet points which were included in the ballot language: public safety, sports, recreation, and community facilities, behavioral and rural health programs and facilities, and capital improvements to enhance the social and economic vitality in Williams County. Preceding the election, electors were presented sales tax extension funding commitments and project pledges based on the county's understanding of the needs and desires of the community and other public entities at the time. Information provided assumed a $24 million per year revenue and described the allocation as follows. And I think we've all gone over this before. There are percentage splits, 50% of it going to the city, and we're going to talk about an agreement with them in a minute. And then we did allocate an amount, a pledge, that we would put toward 3 targeted projects: the year-round ice facility, indoor-outdoor arena space, and then that agricultural programming and education meeting complex. I provide an update here that says, yep, it's passed, and this is how we intend to spend the money. However, of course, we have to reserve the right to make adjustments. 9.5 years from now, a board could see that there's a need to do something that we didn't envision specifically here, and a board would have the ability to do that. So the point of this long piece is to just provide some context for what's going on. And again, we go back in time and look at county commission minutes, and so I'm trying to provide a record there. And I think we'll see this same language a few times, because then I have a request here. And I think each time we make this kind of a request, it will be fronted with this type of a narrative. So the request today is that the Williams County Commission formally commit to the pledge of $12 million for the indoor ice facility. This will help us to facilitate the private donations that are going to be needed to help fill the funding gap for that project, and for everyone involved to be secure as we begin the pre-design and the project planning. I think I gave you an update not that long ago. Commissioner Hansen has been the commissioner partnering with me on this project. We've had a series of meetings. We have met with the City of Williston, the Williston Park District, the skating club, the hockey club, a group called Energy Center Power Play, whatever they are. And we're proceeding with, I think we're real close to having a site selected and having at least some kind of a preliminary idea of where this structure would sit on that site. The Park District, as you know, will be asking voters to consider an extension of their sales tax in June. And so we are hoping to have some of this nailed down, just so that I think it's a question out there as the Park District starts to talk about their future plans and projects. How does this play into that? And so we're trying to help make that timing make sense. The idea behind this pledge, and I think I'll come back as we're ready to get to this point for the 2 other projects, is we know that it would be unreasonable for any of these projects to get a dribble of money once a year for 10 years because they are a construction project. And if it turns out to be we don't have money as we get somewhere in the midst of this tax, we'll have to sort that out. But for now, when we know a project is ready to go, we'd like to set the money aside or target getting that money pulled together so that the project can be completed. And in essence, then our obligation to that specific project would be over. And on the cash and envelope side, we'll sort it out. Any questions for me on this? Great. So I would love a motion that Williams County formally pledges that $12 million. And we aren't ready to spend it, but that pledge, I think, really helps people to feel secure in our commitment.
Did we not do that when we set this whole thing up?
We really didn't make it we said, we're going to do these percentages and they total these dollars. But I think this is somewhat symbolic, but I think we need to do it. And actually, I mean, I told you a few weeks ago, I told you that I was gonna do this, and I said I wanted to do the pledge of the other two projects, and you said to me, well, no, let's just do the one that's ready. So,
Okay, anybody got questions?
I just read in the update, it says, however, the county reserves the right to make adjustments based on actual revenue derived. So let's say revenue doesn't come in as expected. Is this commitment of 12 million means that no matter what happens, you get 12 million bucks?
yes, that's my intention. Because these projects that are gonna be constructed need that assurance. People are, I mean, we're not there yet, but at some point, we're signing contracts and buying building supplies. They need to know the money's coming, for sure. We would have to make adjustments elsewhere, would be my thought.
Would you suggest that the estimates of revenue have been conservative, having a history of going through ups and downs in the oil field plus a pandemic? You've got a pretty good history to base your future knowledge of revenue.
Yeah, I would tell you the 24 million was pretty accurate to what we actually received as an average, but you're exactly right. There were multiple years in the last 10-year cycle when things were about as bad as they can be. That 15-16 period and then during the pandemic are certainly were tough. So I have no reason to believe that the 24 million per year for 10 years isn't a good number. I have confidence in that.
Not intending to be the naysayer, the negative Nelly, but just being the freshman on this board, not being a part of the history of arriving at the ice facility, the ice rink was the best idea the group came up with?
Well, I mean, you see there are 3 projects that are targeted, and we did have a study conducted in the summer of 2023 that identified the areas in which we had the greatest need in our community. And in fact, the ice facility was one of the greatest needs. And part of what I've learned, because I might have a little of that bias as well going into that study, but part of what I've learned in talking with the Park District is that as we create dedicated ice space, we also then free up other recreation spaces and other facilities that will then serve other types of athletes or other types of community needs. And so it really is about getting ourselves positioned correctly and with modern equipment that is efficient and suitable.
All right, with that, can we get a motion to formally commit the $12 million to the indoor ice facility?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Is there discussion? Thanks for jumping on that one, guys. I appreciate it. Is there any discussion? Discussion? Roll call.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, so I did send you an email late yesterday about this. So one of the things that we need to do is have an agreement between the city and the county for the passing of their half of the 1% dollars to the city. Again, that's not included in the language for the ballot. It's an agreement that we make, and we've been doing it for 10 years under a different agreement. We just need to update it. We put together an agreement. Of course, our legal helped me to do this, and I provided it to the city. And they came back with a couple of changes. One of the changes is sort of to document in the way that I did in the memo. They include language to document their intention as it relates to a commitment that they made for 10% of their portion to go to quality of life projects. And, I guess that's between them and the voters, and they include that language. But in two previous budget workshop discussions about this sales tax, you as a group instructed me to include in this document, or at least I heard the instruction, and I guess that's why I'm here asking for guidance, that you wanted it formally included here, that if they were going to use this money to construct it really comes down to a new police station, but any kind of a structure that would in essence then have them abandon their partnership with us in another building, that you wanted them to tell us. And the language doesn't say we get to approve it. It just says, we want you to tell us. And I think the point of this, if I inferred correctly, was not the 5 of you and the 5 of them that are on the board right now, but in future, just to document that this was our request, our understanding. They struck that language. And I just didn't feel like I could say yes to that without pointing it out to you all, because the instruction to include it also came from you. I don't think that the language we had actually was actionable in any way. There was never an intention that a future board wouldn't agree to continue to pass the half to them. Certainly that's not what we were trying to do. We were just trying to document for history that we wanted to know if they were going to be doing something big and then leaving us with a building that right now we feel like we're partners in. I did talk to the city administrator after I got this copy and said, I'm going to have to ask the board and point this out specifically tomorrow because I can't just brush it through. He seemed to indicate that it was potentially, specifically in conversation with the mayor, that the mayor feels pretty strongly about having this piece removed. So I don't know, I don't exactly know how we would navigate going forward if we disagree. I mean, there are meetings to be had.
Well, I think if we disagree, obviously we do, but we weren't putting it in saying you can't do this, so I don't know that it really doesn't affect the agreement. It was more of a.
Well, but my question is, why wouldn't they just give us, if they're planning something, why wouldn't they just give us a heads up out of just common courtesy, but.
Right.
Well, and I think they would. We have a monthly meeting with them, and so I don't think we would find a new police station just shockingly went up that none of us knew about. We haven't been paying attention, I guess, if we do see that happen, so it was probably me, I was pushing for that to be in there because I felt like they should come and tell if it's gonna happen, and I believe they will. So, I'm not stuck on that. It is what it is. The other part that was struck might be a little tougher, but with not putting in what they're gonna do with their share, but there again, that's on them, not on us.
Yeah, Commissioner Wellstead, for example, asks about the ICE facility piece. The reality is we all were very clear with the voters what we intended to do and how we intended to allocate these funds. There's a lot of documentation out there that shows what we all committed to. And that's what the voters voted yes to. And so, we all, I think, intend to do what we promised to do.
So is the blue what they came back to us with?
Yes, the blue, anything blue is what changed. So the crossed out stuff is what we had in an agreement that they removed, and the blue that is underlined is what they added. And so you see they deleted 2 sections that we had proposed, and they inserted a paragraph.
So I guess just a random thought. We just committed a $12 million amount, which per se, if we only collect 12 million, that's what they get. The city puts in 2 paragraphs of where we think the project's cool, but we will put in whatever we feel we think is necessary. I mean, so they're not going to commit to a dollar amount so that these folks can raise funds?
I don't think they've gotten that far in their discussions about how, I think when I asked the city administrator yesterday, it sounded to me like they haven't gotten that far in figuring out the things that they committed to, what means are they gonna fund them, what is the process gonna be, because they also make a commitment to some public grant program or some community grant program, which they're just not that far along yet, I think is the answer. And while I think this is a generic agreement, I'm with you that the language they include here feels real specific to this ICE project. I didn't feel like, I mean, they put in what they wanted.
Would it be beneficial just to hold off doing this agreement until they have determined what they're gonna do with the money?
I mean, again, it would be my view, you all are the bosses around here, but it would be my view that we never intended to be the supervisors. We have not for the last 10 years monitored what they do with the portion that goes to them. And I don't think we indicated to anyone, including them, that that was the role we were gonna take on in the next 10 years. We passed them the 50%. And they are accountable to the taxpayer.
Well, and I think that's the big thing that we've got to remember is we've got our half of this 1%, and we went out and told folks there's gonna be $12 million that goes to the indoor ice facility. And there's gonna be 16, go right down the list. We're gonna stick to exactly what we said. And they've got to deal with their side of it, and the agreement, it kind of is what it is. We can't necessarily hold anybody to it because the vote said 50% to the city and 50% to us. I mean, we collect it and then we give them half. So I think, we're probably wasting our time. They can make their decision and move forward. We're gonna make our decision, which we just did, because that's what we told the voters we were gonna do, and we wanna stick to what we said we were gonna do. That's how we got this thing passed, in my opinion.
And I would agree. I'm kind of surprised that any of this language is in here, because is this not an agreement that says that we give you your 50%, we retain our 50%?
Yes.
So why do they even put this language in here?
I mean, I think it's a follow-up to if you see the crossed out second paragraph, we had included a general summary of what was told to the voters. Because that's sort of the path I'm on, is just trying to put some breadcrumbs of history down, because 10 years from now, I mean, I don't know how many of us are gonna be here to remind folks of what we said we would do. So maybe they're following our lead, Bo, I guess is what I'm saying is I, with Karen's help, included that paragraph, which I guess maybe prompted them to include their own.
So basically what you would like us to do is approve the agreement as redlined or?
Yes, I did print out then at the end of the day when I thought of it for Beth, a clean copy that includes their changes, which takes out the things that are crossed out and adds the paragraph that they added. And so we would like the chairman to sign that if you're agreeable. And if not, you could give me directions to do something else.
Well, what are the wishes, gentlemen? I mean, it basically says in our section, we're just saying this is what we're gonna do. And that's kind of where we're at, I think.
I'd make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the agreement as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Barry, you got anything? Because you're thinking, there's the bubble popped open on your head, on top of your head, but nothing, there's no words.
Well, I do not want to get involved with them, how they spend their money. But if we committed the 12 million to the ICE facility and for some unforeseen reason, that's all that gets committed to it, I'm of the belief that if they want it, they're gonna have to come up with the rest of the funding some other way, because these other projects that we have listed are equally as important, I believe, so.
And I think that this makes it more clear that it's 12 million, but like Bo said, I mean, the folks doing the math on the building side would have to know what their numbers are, so we're just trying to say, here's the 12, we'll get it to you. And I think the number is more important rather than seeing how it comes in and giving it out as it goes, so.
Oh, yes, I agree completely. I think they, if you're gonna do something like, you have to have a solid commitment that we are behind you, but I don't believe 100% of that project's gonna come out of our half of that penny either. So,
In every meeting we've had, we've,
Absolutely. I think I've tried to make that clear at the meetings we've talked about it too. I mean,
we've been counting on the city for $10 million in every step of the way, in every conversation about that project. And the city has had both commissioners and their administrator there, and no one's ever told us that's not true. And so as far as I can tell, they're committed to 10 million.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, Beth.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Barry,
yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, seeing no other business, we're adjourned.